The soft hum of espresso machines fills the air. Steam curls upward, catching the early morning light filtering through the big glass window of Haven Brew, my dream cafe, my everything. I run my fingers along the edge of the counter I sanded myself just 3 nights ago. The smell of roasted beans, caramel syrup, and fresh paint blend into something that feels like hope. My hands shake, not from exhaustion, though there's plenty of that, but from excitement. "Everything's perfect, Addison," says Harper, my assistant manager, smiling as she wipes the chalkboard menu. "You did it." I exhale, trying not to cry. "We did it," I whisper. The place glows, golden lights, soft jazz, tables waiting for the first customers. I can almost see it. People laughing, sipping lattes, writing dreams on napkins. This was my idea, my way of giving people a space to breathe. I glanced toward the door for the 15th time. Lena, my sister, promised she'd be here before the soft opening. She said she wanted to help with marketing, her exact words. I check my phone. No texts. No calls. Harper clears her throat softly. "She running late again?" I nod, forcing a smile. "Probably. You know how she is." Inside, though, I feel the small ache of something I've learned to ignore, disappointment, the kind that comes wrapped in love. The bell on the door jingles. My niece, Tessa, rushes in, cheeks flushed, clutching a little sketchbook. "Aunt Addie, look." She flips it open. A crayon drawing of the cafe logo I designed months ago, a cup with angel wings, Haven Brew, written in looping gold letters. "It's beautiful, sweetheart," I whisper, kneeling. "You're my little artist." She beams. "Mom said she's busy today. She's got something really big." "Something big," I repeat, trying to keep my voice light. "Like what?" Tessa shrugs. "A big surprise. She said everyone will know soon." My chest tightens. Harper gives me a questioning glance from behind the counter, but I shake my head. The clock hits noon. My heart sinks. Lena was supposed to bring the promotional banner for the launch. I grab my phone again, texting. "Where are you?" "We're starting." No reply. I turn to Harper. "Let's go ahead without her." We light the candles, open the doors, and welcome a handful of curious neighbors. For a moment, everything feels right, until Harper's phone buzzes. She frowns, looks at the screen, then at me. "Addison, you might want to see this." She hands me her phone. On the screen, a live video. My breath freezes. It's Lena, standing behind a podium draped in silver, flashing my exact logo on a giant banner. "Welcome to Haven Brew, my new venture," she says cheerfully, voice amplified by microphones. My world tilts. I blink once, twice, as her words echo. Haven Brew. Same logo. Same design. Same slogan I wrote months ago. A place to rest your soul. People in the crowd clap. Cameras flash. She smiles, that effortless, charming smile she's always had. Harper whispers, "Addison, that's your?" I know. My voice trembles, barely audible. In the corner, Tessa tugs my sleeve. "Aunt Addie, that's the same name as yours." I force a smile that burns my throat. "Yes, sweetie, it's similar." My heart beats in my ears. Around me, laughter fades, colors dim. I watch my sister live streaming the life I dreamed of. The candle on the counter flickers. A soft gust of air slips through the door, making the flame shiver before going out completely. The sound of applause from the phone becomes the only thing I can hear. The warmth I felt an hour ago drains from my body. All that's left is the quiet sting of betrayal, one so familiar, it almost feels rehearsed. That night, I sat at my kitchen table, staring at the soft glow of my phone screen. The video of Lena's launch had gone viral, 15,000 views in 3 hours. Comments rolled in like acid rain. "She's a genius. Such an original concept. Haven Brew, what a perfect name." Every line scraped my chest raw. I typed, deleted, retyped. Actually, that logo was. Then I stopped. What was I even doing? No one believes the quiet one. They never have. The kettle whistled on the stove. I turned it off before it screamed. The next morning, I arrived at Haven Brew early. Harper was already there, her hair in a messy bun, face tight. She held a folded newspaper in her hand. Addison, front page. The headline glared up at me. Local entrepreneur launches heartfelt coffee brand. Haven Brew opens doors. And there she was, Lena, my sister, smiling like a sunrise that wasn't hers. My hands trembled so hard the paper crinkled. She even used the tagline, I whispered. Harper hesitated. You want to fight it? Copyright, maybe? I shook my head. She filed paperwork first. I checked. There it was, the final twist of the knife. I'd trusted her with everything. My design files, my notes, my dreams. And she'd used them before I could even register the business myself. For days, I ran Haven Brew like a ghost. Customers came and went, unaware they were standing inside the original. I smiled, poured lattes, nodded through compliments that felt like apologies. Then one afternoon, Tessa walked in, clutching a small envelope. Mom said to give you this. My stomach dropped. Thanks, sweetie. Inside, a crisp note in Lena's looping handwriting. Addie, business is business. You hesitated, I didn't. Maybe next time you'll move faster. Don't take it personally. You're good at the cozy stuff. Maybe you can help with events at Haven Brew? I'll pay you hourly. I reread the line 3 times, unable to breathe. Hourly. For my own dream. Harper watched me carefully. That's cruel. I smiled through the ache. No, it's Lena. I folded the note, tucked it into my apron pocket, and went back to the counter. A young couple was waiting. I took their order, a caramel macchiato and a chai latte, pretending my throat wasn't burning. That night, I went home to an empty apartment. I poured cold tea into the sink, too tired to heat it again. The lights flickered once, twice. I sat in silence until my phone buzzed. A message from Lena lit up the screen. Addie, don't make this weird, okay? I've got investors now. I'll make you a manager if you want. You'd still get to work with me, like old times. I stared at the text until my eyes blurred. Like old times. The words made me sick. I typed one word. No. Then deleted it. I couldn't even send that. The next morning, Harper showed up early again, bringing bagels and soft sympathy. I saw the interview, she said quietly. She said she came up with the name after a dream. Your dream. I forced a laugh that didn't sound human. That's poetic, at least. She hesitated before asking, What are you going to do? I looked around the empty cafe, the quiet hum of machines, the faint scent of cinnamon syrup, the echo of everything I'd poured into this place. I'm going to keep working, I said softly, because that's what I do. Later that day, a small boy came to the counter with his mom. He looked around, wide-eyed, then whispered, Mommy, isn't this the Heaven place? His mom smiled awkwardly. No, honey, this one's something else. The boy frowned, disappointed, and tugged her hand toward the door. When they left, the bell above the door chimed once, a delicate, lonely sound. I wiped the counter even though it was already clean. Through the window, I saw a delivery truck pass by, with a large Haven Brew decal on its side. Lena's face smiled from the advertisement, holding a coffee cup with my wings on it. For a long moment, I just stood there. Then I whispered, to no one and everyone. It was supposed to be ours. The lights above me buzzed softly. The air smelled of burnt espresso and endings. And for the first time since I opened Haven Brew, I didn't want to stay. When people ask how 2 sisters could end up enemies, I never know where to start. Maybe it wasn't sudden. Maybe betrayal is like mold, growing quietly in the dark until one day it owns the room. Growing up, Lena was the star. She had that kind of beauty that opened doors before she even knocked. Mom said she was born to shine. I was the planner, the one who made sure the shine didn't burn the house down. When we were kids, I used to help her with her school projects. She'd stand in front of the class, presenting the model volcano I'd built, while I sat in the back row, clapping. I didn't mind back then. Seeing her smile felt like enough. But over the years, those small things grew teeth. When I got my first internship at a local bakery, I'd come home smelling like sugar and coffee. I'd tell her about the owner, the recipes, the way customers lit up when they tasted something good. She'd nod, pretending to listen. 2 months later, she started posting on social media about her new baking hobby, photos of my recipes, my captions, even my kitchen towels in the background. I laughed it off. "We share everything, right?" she said with a grin. When Mom got sick 5 years ago, I moved back home to take care of her. Lena visited on weekends, usually in designer coats, always on her phone. I worked double shifts at a marketing agency while managing doctor bills, grocery lists, medications. "Addie, you're amazing," she'd say. "I don't know how you do it." But she never offered to help. She said she wasn't good with hospitals. After Mom passed, I inherited her old savings, barely enough to start over. Lena convinced me to invest together. "You handle the business stuff," she'd said, flipping her perfect hair. "You're the brain. I'll bring the charm." So I did. I found a small space downtown, sketched the cafe concept, designed the name, the brand, everything. We even took selfies in front of the empty building, laughing like kids again. That night, she hugged me tight and whispered, "I'm proud of you, Addie. You're finally doing something for yourself." 2 days later, she filed for the business license. Alone. I didn't find out until the county clerk called about a duplicate registration. When I confronted her, she laughed, actually laughed. "Addie, come on. You don't even like paperwork. I was helping you." Helping. That word still tastes like poison. For months after that, we didn't speak. I threw myself into my job at the agency, working late nights, drinking too much coffee, sketching business plans on napkins during lunch breaks. Then one day, out of nowhere, she called. "Addie, you'll never believe this. I met an investor at a networking brunch. He loves our cafe idea." I wanted to hang up. But hearing that she remembered the idea at all made something inside me soften. Maybe she finally saw value in me. She sent me the investor's contact. His name was Mitchell Reed, a sharp-talking man with a clean suit and the patience of a hawk. When we met, he said, "Lena speaks highly of your creativity. You're the designer, right?" I nodded, not realizing that she'd already positioned herself as the founder. He looked at me like I was an employee. And I played along, because I thought, maybe, once the cafe opens, she'll give me credit. But people who take from you rarely start giving on their own. That same pattern repeated for years, small things, big things. She'd borrow my ideas, twist my kindness into guilt. One time, she even used my resume to apply for a job at a boutique marketing firm. When she got the interview, she called me laughing. "Relax, I just needed your wording. You're better with words." The worst part? I believed that was normal. It took me 30 years to realize Lena never wanted a sister. She wanted an audience. And I was her best one. When she launched Heaven Brew, I wasn't just angry. I was broken in the exact same places she'd cracked before. That's what made it hurt so much. It wasn't the theft itself. It was the repetition. The proof that she'd never, ever see me as her equal. Late one night, unable to sleep, I opened my old notebook, the one with our cafe sketches. The pages smelled faintly of cinnamon and ink. On the cover, in faded marker, I'd written, "Dreams shared are dreams strengthened." I stared at that line until my eyes blurred. Then I crossed out the word shared. Below it, I wrote in bold strokes, "Dreams protected are dreams realized." When I closed the notebook, I knew something had shifted. Because history doesn't repeat when you refuse to play your old part. 3 weeks passed before I heard from Lena again. 3 long, quiet weeks of rebuilding small pieces of myself inside the echoing walls of Haven Brew. Business was slow, but steady. Harper and I started offering small batch pastries and free Wi-Fi, hoping to draw the local college crowd. Some mornings, Tessa would stop by on her way to school and sit at the counter, humming as she sipped hot chocolate. Those mornings felt like oxygen. Then, one rainy Tuesday, my phone buzzed. The caller ID read, "Lena." I stared at it for a full minute before answering. "Hello." Her voice came bright, breezy, as if nothing had ever happened. Addie. Oh my God. I'm drowning in work. How's my favorite barista doing? Barista. My jaw tightened. What do you want, Lena? She laughed. Relax. It's nothing bad. Actually, I need your help. Of course she did. She launched into her pitch before I could answer. So, Heaven Brew is expanding faster than I expected. Investors want another branch across town, but I'm swamped. You've got such a good eye for branding and interiors, I thought maybe you'd come on board as a consultant. Just part-time. I'll pay you fairly. I closed my eyes, trying to steady my breathing. You mean you want me to design your next cafe? Technically our next cafe, she corrected, sugar sweet. You were part of the original idea, right? My stomach twisted. You mean the one you stole? There was a pause, sharp, cold. Then her tone flattened. You really need to let that go, Addie. You always take things so personally. I told you it was business. Lightning flashed outside, lighting the cafe in white for half a second. Harper looked up from the counter, sensing my tension. I'm not interested, I said finally. Lena sighed theatrically. Don't be stubborn. Look, I'll send you a small advance, say $2,000, just to sketch a few ideas. It's easy money. Easy. That word hit me harder than I expected. I thought about all the nights I'd fallen asleep on this cafe floor, painting walls until my hands ached. The endless spreadsheets. The bills. The heartbreak. Lena, I said slowly, if I help you, I'd be building another throne for you to sit on. Her voice sharpened. Don't make this a drama. You need the money, don't you? That did it. I hung up. A second later, her text arrived. You're throwing away opportunity again. You always do. No wonder you never get ahead. I stared at the message until the letters blurred, then set my phone face down. My chest felt tight, my hands shaking. Harper's voice broke the silence. Everything okay? I forced a small nod. Yeah. Just Lena, being Lena. But my pulse was hammering. My throat ached from holding back words I never said. That night, I sat at the counter long after closing. Lights dimmed, rain tapping softly against the window. I pulled out my old notebook, the one where I'd written dreams protected are dreams realized. Something inside me clicked into place, quiet but undeniable. I wasn't just angry anymore. I was done. Done explaining, done justifying, done hoping she'd see my worth. I turned the page and began sketching. Not for her, not for investors, not for approval. For me. A new logo. A rebrand. A vision that carried the heart of Haven Brew but sharper, stronger, something that couldn't be stolen this time. The next morning, I called the trademark office and filed my paperwork, properly, legally, under my full name, Addison Lee Monroe. It cost $350 I didn't really have, but when the receipt printed, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Power. Later that evening, Lena called again. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail, calm at first, then irritated, then mocking. You'll regret this, Addie. You always come back when you realize you can't survive alone. But she was wrong. Because for the first time in my life, I didn't feel alone. I felt free. When I locked up the cafe that night, the sound of the key turning wasn't routine. It was a declaration. And under the glow of the streetlight outside, I whispered it out loud. The word I'd never dared to say before. No. The rain had stopped. The air smelled clean. And for the first time, I believed her power over me was finally ending. The following weeks were the busiest of my life. Between pouring coffee, managing orders, and building a new brand identity, I barely slept. Harper often stayed late with me, sketching ideas, tweaking the website, designing new merch. Every day felt like a small rebellion, a silent war I was finally winning. We called the rebrand Haven House, a space for community, warmth, and creative freedom. The motto, built from honesty, fueled by heart. It wasn't flashy like Lena's Heaven Brew, but it was real. And people felt that. Word started spreading on social media. A local influencer, Brianna Torres, stumbled in one morning, posted a glowing review, and tagged us. Within a week, foot traffic doubled. We added a creator's corner, a small area with open mic nights, art displays, and acoustic performances. It became a hub for young artists, students, and freelancers. Every time I saw someone smile under our logo, it healed something inside me. Then one Friday morning, as I was serving a latte to a new customer, I heard a familiar voice behind me. "Wow, look at this. Cute place." My hand froze mid-pour. "Lena." She stood at the door, dressed in her usual sharp cream blazer, phone in hand, that same performative smile plastered on her face. Harper glanced at me nervously. I forced a breath, set the cup down, and turned. "Can I help you?" She grinned. "Relax, sis. I'm not here to fight. I was in the neighborhood and thought I'd stop by. Businesswoman to businesswoman." I crossed my arms. "Sure. Let's skip the small talk. What do you want?" Lena's tone softened, but her eyes were calculating. "You've made quite the splash online. Congrats. Must feel nice being noticed." I stayed silent. She continued. "So here's my offer. Merge Haven House with Heaven Brew. I'll handle the investors, PR, and expansion. You focus on design and community stuff, the things you're good at. 50-50 partnership." Harper coughed under her breath. I nearly laughed. "You mean you want me to give you half of my new business, after you stole my first one?" Lena's smile didn't waver. "Don't be dramatic. Think about it logically. You're barely keeping up with rent, Addie. Expansion needs capital. I can make that happen." I leaned on the counter. "And what happens when the paperwork magically lists your name first again?" She sighed, exasperated. "You really don't know how the world works, do you? You cling to emotion. That's why you'll always stay small." Something in me snapped, but not in rage. It was calm, solid, like a door finally closing. "Maybe small is better than soulless," I said. She blinked, thrown off. "I built this from ashes, Lena. No investors, no shortcuts, no lies. Just work, real, messy, honest work. You can't buy that with capital." Her face hardened. "You'll regret this. Don't forget who helped you dream in the first place." I smiled faintly. "Oh, I remember. You helped me dream, and then you showed me exactly who could take dreams away." That's when I noticed people in the cafe staring, quiet, curious. Lena glanced around, realizing eyes were on her. She muttered something under her breath and stormed out, heels clacking against the tile. The door slammed. Silence. Then Harper grinned. "That was the most satisfying thing I've seen all week." I exhaled and laughed, shaky but free. That night, I uploaded a post to Haven House's social media. "Every dream deserves protection. Not everyone who claps for you wants you to win. Keep building anyway." The post went viral overnight. People began sharing their own stories, friends who'd betrayed them, co-workers who'd stolen credit, family who'd doubted them. The comments section became a safe space for resilience. By morning, we had 3 new sponsorship offers, 2 podcast invites, and an email from a popular lifestyle magazine asking to feature Haven House in their next issue. When I saw the email, I sat back, tears burning behind my eyes. For the first time in years, I wasn't chasing Lena's shadow. I was standing in my own light. Later that week, she tried one last time to reach me. A text, short and bitter. "Don't forget who made you." I didn't reply. I didn't need to. Because Haven House wasn't built by her hands. It was built by mine. With every scar, every tear, every ounce of stubborn hope she tried to crush. And as the neon sign glowed through the window that night, I knew. This wasn't rebellion anymore. It was reclamation. The calm never lasts forever. 2 weeks after that viral post, Haven House was busier than ever. Every morning, the lines stretched past the door, students with laptops, mothers with strollers, old men reading the paper. It smelled like espresso and cinnamon, like freedom brewed in every cup. But success has a way of drawing shadows. One gray Tuesday, while I was restocking beans in the back, Harper rushed in, eyes wide. "Addie," she whispered, "you should come out front. Now." I wiped my hands on my apron and stepped out, straight into chaos. Lena was there again. But this time, she wasn't alone. Two police officers stood beside her. The cafe went silent. Mugs clinked. Music stopped. Lena crossed her arms. Officers, that's her, Addison Monroe. She's been stealing proprietary designs from Heaven Brew. I have proof. My stomach dropped, but I kept my tone steady. Proof. She handed over a folder. Inside were printed screenshots, logos, website mock-ups, nearly identical to ours, except hers were time-stamped a week later. She'd copied us. Again. Then reversed the accusation. One officer, a tall man with kind eyes, looked at me. Ma'am, we're not here to arrest anyone. We just need to ask a few questions. I nodded, my pulse hammering in my ears. Of course. Harper whispered. She's losing it. I led them to the back office, showing every record. Invoices, design drafts, date-stamped videos of Harper sketching our logo weeks before Lena's launch. The officers compared the dates quietly. One nodded, setting the folder down. Looks like this clears things up. Sorry for the disturbance, Ms. Monroe. Lena's face reddened. This isn't over.
She stole from me.
The second officer interrupted. Ma'am, I'd advise you to leave. Filing false claims can have consequences. Her eyes burned holes through me, but she turned and stormed out, slamming the glass door so hard the bell above it fell. The whole cafe had been watching. I turned toward them, flushed, trembling, and then Harper started clapping.
Slowly.
Then others joined. Soft at first, then loud. That's when I felt it, not pride exactly.
Just peace.
That night, after closing, I sat at one of the corner tables, lights dimmed. The rain outside softened the neon reflection on the floor. Harper poured us both tea. She's unraveling, she said quietly. I know. What if she tries again? You know her. She doesn't quit until she destroys something. I smiled faintly. Then she'll destroy herself this time. A week later, karma arrived in a form neither of us expected. A local business news channel ran a short exposé. Copycat brands under fire. Heaven Brew accused of intellectual theft. Apparently, one of Lena's ex-employees had leaked emails showing she'd instructed her team to mirror Haven House's new identity to regain popularity. The backlash was instant. Sponsors pulled out. Influencers deleted their collabs. The comment sections were brutal. Lena called me that night. Her voice was shaky, desperate. Addie, they're tearing me apart online. My investors are gone. I can't keep the shop open. Silence stretched. For a moment, I almost felt pity. Old instincts stirring, the same ones that had always told me to fix, to comfort. But not this time. Lena, I said softly, you taught me something important about ownership, about boundaries. You can't keep taking what you didn't build.
She sniffed. Please.
I don't know what to do. Everyone's turned on me. I hesitated, heart pounding. Then I said it, calm, precise. Maybe it's time you worked for someone who actually knows how to build something. There was a pause. Then a faint, bitter laugh. You're kidding. I'm offering you a barista position. Training included. Minimum wage, like everyone else. It'll keep you afloat while you figure out your next move. You'd really make me do that? I'm not making you do anything. You wanted to learn business, right? This is where it starts. The line went dead. I thought she'd never call again. But the next morning, I walked in to find Lena waiting outside Haven House, shoulders slumped, hair unkempt, eyes hollow. She didn't speak, just nodded once and muttered, "Where do I start?" I handed her an apron. The staff stared in stunned silence. Harper whispered, "You're sure about this?" I nodded. Let her see what real work looks like. Lena wiped down tables that morning in silence while customers whispered and stared. It wasn't revenge. Not exactly. It was justice served slowly, with humility and foam. When she accidentally spilled a latte, I handed her a towel without a word. And in that small, quiet exchange, the power finally shifted. That night, as I closed the register, Harper leaned against the counter, watching Lena mop the floor. She really works for you now. I smiled, exhaustion warm in my chest.
Yeah.
And somehow, I'm okay with that. Because control didn't look like dominance anymore. It looked like peace. The days that followed felt like a strange kind of quiet after the storm. Lena came in every morning at 7 sharp, no makeup, hair tied back, eyes downcast. She didn't talk much. Just clocked in, wiped tables, and took orders. I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. Watching her adjust to humility was its own silent closure. Harper managed the front counter now, confident, sharp, cheerful. Customers adored her. And oddly, they were kind to Lena too. A few regulars whispered to me, "Is that your sister?" I'd nod. They'd smile softly, like they already knew the story without needing the details. The cafe had become something else entirely, not just a business, but a refuge. People came to work, to rest, to heal. One woman, Mrs. Lawson, came in every Thursday with her son after chemotherapy. She'd always say, "It smells like hope in here." A college student named Jade started selling handmade candles on our shelves. Part of the profits went to local shelters. And our Saturday open mics turned into standing room only nights where strangers cried, laughed, and sang together. For the first time in years, I wasn't chasing success. I was nurturing it. But the biggest change came from the community itself. One afternoon, the door jingled and Mr. Delaney, the elderly man from across the street, stepped in holding a tray of muffins. "For your staff," he said, setting it down. "I see how hard you all work." Later, a young mom dropped off a handwritten thank you note. "Your kindness last week meant everything. You made me believe good people still exist." And then Harper surprised me with something I didn't expect, a small envelope. Inside was a check. I frowned. "What's this?" "Your bonus," she said, grinning. "You underpay yourself." I laughed, shaking my head. "You're impossible." But she was right. For the first time we had profit. Enough to pay staff comfortably, reinvest, and still have leftover savings. When I checked our account ledger later that night, the numbers felt surreal. I traced them with my finger, whispering, "You did it, Addie. Not we. Not she. You." Lena stayed quiet those weeks. She did her job, never complained, always left right at closing. But sometimes, I'd catch her pausing to stare at the mural on the back wall, the one Harper painted after our rebrand. It read, "Made from the mess, not despite it." One evening, when the cafe had emptied out, she lingered. "I didn't think it'd be like this," she said softly. I looked up from the register. "Like what?" "Working here. Watching people actually like each other." She hesitated. "You built something that feels alive." "I never did that." Her voice cracked on the last word. For the first time, I didn't see the rival or the manipulator. I saw my sister, the one who used to braid my hair before school, who'd talk about making it big, like it was a shared dream. "You could've," I said quietly. "You just kept cutting corners trying to get there faster." She nodded, tears in her eyes. "I know." We stood in silence for a while. No apologies, no speeches. Just the hum of the espresso machine cooling down. Before she left, she whispered, "Thank you for giving me a chance. Even after everything."
I didn't reply.
I didn't need to. Forgiveness wasn't about words. It was about finally not needing them. The next morning, I found something strange on the counter, a folded note with my name in Lena's handwriting. Inside, "I'm leaving Heaven Brew. Sold what was left. I'm moving to Portland to start over. Don't worry, no stealing this time. Just wanted to say, I see now what real work looks like."
"Thank you, Al."
I stared at it for a long time. A single tear dropped onto the paper, blurring the ink. Then I smiled, small, tired, but real. When Harper came in, I showed her the note. She read it, shrugged, and grinned. "Guess we finally exorcised the ghost." "Guess so." We both laughed, the kind of laugh that feels like release, like exhaling years of tension. That afternoon, I unlocked the door, flipped the closed sign to "Open," and looked around the cafe. Light poured through the windows. The walls glowed warm amber. People smiled. For the first time, I didn't feel like I was proving anything. I was just living inside something I'd built with my own hands, surrounded by community, trust, and peace. And the most beautiful part? I didn't need revenge to win. I just needed me. Spring arrived with quiet confidence. Haven House had grown roots deeper than I ever imagined. We'd gone from a cozy neighborhood cafe to a full-fledged community hub, hosting art nights, small business meetups, and charity fundraisers. The once empty corner walls were now covered with framed photos of smiling customers, each one a tiny victory, a reminder that success built on kindness actually lasts. We'd hired 2 more baristas, Dylan, a soft-spoken musician saving for his first album, and Sophie, a college student studying psychology who somehow remembered every regular's order by heart. Harper had stepped up to co-manage, her natural leadership shining brighter each week. She teased me sometimes, saying, "Boss, you're finally learning to let go." She wasn't wrong. I didn't hover like before. I trusted people, my people, to carry the dream with me. And for the first time, my mornings were peaceful again. I'd wake up, brew my coffee at home, walk to Haven House just as the sunrise spilled golden light across the windows. There was laughter inside before I even opened the door. The sound never failed to make me smile. One day, while wiping down tables after closing, Harper said, "You know, we've outgrown this space." I laughed. "You mean my tiny kingdom?"
She grinned. Exactly.
There's a vacant corner spot 2 blocks down, bigger kitchen, rooftop patio. You could host live music nights, maybe open a second Haven House. The idea terrified me at first. Expansion meant risk, paperwork, debt, the possibility of failure. But as I looked around the shop, the warmth, the hum, the smell of coffee and cinnamon, I realized fear wasn't my compass anymore.
Purpose was.
So, I said the word I'd been afraid to say for years. Yes. We started small blueprints, meetings with landlords, late-night brainstorming over takeout. Word got around fast. Customers offered to help paint, move furniture, even donate equipment. One afternoon, Mr. Delaney walked in carrying a large wooden sign he'd carved himself. Haven House, where hope brews. I cried when I saw it. It wasn't just about a new store. It was about how far I'd come, from being the girl who cried behind a locked door to the woman who could lead others into light. One evening, I sat outside the cafe, watching the sunset reflect off the glass. A man walked by, friendly smile, holding a book.
He stopped.
"You're Addison, right? Owner of Haven House." I nodded cautiously. He chuckled. "I'm Eli Turner. I run the community bookstore down the street. Your place has saved me from 100 bad days." Thought I should say thank you. We talked for an hour. About books, music, coffee, and resilience. He told me he'd gone through a messy divorce, started over by opening the bookstore with nothing but secondhand shelves and faith. There was something gentle about him. Steady, kind, no trace of the arrogance I'd once mistaken for strength in others. When he left, he said, "Maybe next time, I'll bring a story instead of a book." That night, I found myself smiling for no reason. It felt strange, this lightness. But it didn't scare me anymore. A week later, I visited our new location for the first time. Empty, echoing, sunlight streaming through dusty windows. I stood in the center, breathing in possibility. This was my life now, not running away from betrayal, but walking toward creation. And as Harper joined me, holding blueprints and coffee cups, she whispered, "Can you believe it's happening again?" I nodded, feeling tears rise.
Yeah.
But this time it's ours. All of it. That night, I painted the first words on the blank back wall myself, just like I had at the original Haven House. The letters were slightly crooked, but I didn't care. They read, "We grow where we heal." And for the first time in my life, I truly believed it. A year later, the world looked different. The second Haven House opened that summer. A bright, airy space filled with hanging plants, local art, and laughter that always seemed to spill out onto the street. We hosted our first rooftop music night in July. The lights twinkled above as Harper introduced the first performer, and I stood near the back, watching dozens of faces glowing under soft amber bulbs. The smell of roasted coffee mixed with the warm night air. It felt like a dream I hadn't dared to dream before. Harper nudged me. You realize this is your 1-year anniversary since the implosion? I laughed.
She grinned.
Since the rebirth. She wasn't wrong. Sometimes people still asked about Lena. Word was, she'd settled in Portland, started a small coffee truck by the river. She called it Second Pour. Her reviews were good. Customers said she was kind, patient, humble. A few months ago, she sent me a photo of her truck parked under cherry blossom trees, with a short message. I get it now. Thank you for the lesson. I stared at that text for a long time before replying just one word. Proud. And for the first time, I meant it. Life now is simple and full. Eli and I had become close. He'd started leaving little notes inside the coffee sleeves we sold. Quotes about rebuilding, courage, or sometimes just jokes. The customers loved it. One morning, he brought over a framed quote from his bookstore. Peace isn't found. It's built. It now hangs above the main counter. Some mornings, I'd catch Harper staring at it after a rush, hands on her hips, and she'd say, "You built that piece, boss." And maybe she was right. On the anniversary of Haven House's first opening, I decided to hold a small gathering, just staff, regulars, and a few friends from the neighborhood. We played music, shared stories, and I gave a little speech. I looked around the room, at the people laughing, the clinking cups, the glow of the evening light, and said, "A year ago, I thought everything I'd worked for was gone. But sometimes losing what breaks you is the only way to find what's real. This cafe isn't just mine. It's everyone's who ever started over." Applause filled the room. Harper was crying. Dylan and Sophie cheered. Even Mr. Delaney raised his muffin in salute. It was perfect, not because it was grand, but because it was honest. Later that night, when everyone had gone, I stayed back to close alone. The lights were low, the air still warm with laughter. I wiped down the counter, turned off the espresso machine, and caught my reflection in the window, tired, older, but peaceful. I thought of the girl I used to be, desperate for approval, afraid to lose love, terrified to stand alone. And I whispered, "You made it." Outside, the city hummed softly, alive, forgiving. I locked the door, flipped the sign to closed, and looked once more at the mural on the wall. We grow where we heal. A year ago, I painted it as a hope. Tonight, it was a truth. I took one last breath, let the quiet fill me, and turned off the lights. The door clicked shut behind me, and in that silence, I finally felt it. The weight gone, the peace earned, the story complete. Freedom.